Hello, and today we're going to do a very unprofessional but complete guide on how to change the brakes on your Abu Garcia Ambassadeur SX. I know in the actual instruction clamshell that you get when you purchase this reel, you really don't get anything. And it's a little disappointing because once you get the right line and the right lure for this reel, it's quite nice. I like the way it casts, and it's a nice entry point to round bait cast reels if you're not really sure if you're going to like them or not. I'm just going to get my setup all adjusted here so we can actually see what we're doing. There we go. So what you have are, people like to call them thumb screws. They're relatively easy to get off, but I sometimes like to use a screwdriver to make sure I don't mess anything up. So these are the ones you're going to want to take off because there are a bunch of gears and mechanisms on the left side of the reel that I will admit I've taken it apart once. It's a little sloppy to get back together. Maybe not sloppy to say, but it's definitely tricky. So you're going to have 3 thumb pins here that you just need to gently unscrew so they're about wiggly loose. So we're going to do all 3 of those. Come on, here we go. I like to tighten them down pretty fair because I don't want to get any water in or too much moisture into the internal gearing. I know it is a fishing reel, but you don't want too much moisture that just collects up in there. It's never a good thing. It's going to back that drag off so I can get my tool in there. Okay, peel off some lines so we don't mess ourselves up. And this is kind of where you want to start really paying attention to where all your parts are. So I'm going to get everything, my camera adjusted for you guys. Okay, so you have your reel, you've untwisted your thumb screws, and it's going to come apart here. So your spool is going to come out probably by itself, and that's okay. Just make sure you don't get a bird's nest or anything. And what we're really concerned about, first of all, don't take the spool off of here because it's really hard to get back on. So just leave this all as a unit if you can slide it off. But what we're concerned about, I'll let you take a look, is that your Abu Garcia Ambassadeur comes with 6 pins for centrifugal braking. Now, I was running monofilament before, so I needed more braking. But now that I'm running braid or fireline now, I can turn these down. So this is a perfect time to show you how to do this. So all you need to do is just adjust these by popping them into place. And generally, these are pretty easy. So all you gotta do is just take your fingernails. Just hear a nice little click. You don't need to do it very hard. I actually advise you to do it very gently and just let those pins pop out. So the big tip here is that you want your brakes to be perfectly opposite to each other if you have multiple out. So if you have 2 of them out, like I do right now, have those 2 pins facing, directly opposite to each other. If you have 3 pins out, you'd have 1, 2, 3. If you have 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you have all of them out, well, you have all of them out. So, whoop-de-doo, dandy-doo. So now we're going to get our reel back assembled. This is always a trickier part because you want to make sure you don't get that line just like I did right there tangled up. Perfect. That went a lot smoother than it did the first time for me, but I suggest you just take your time and just really gently go along with this process. It's not terribly hard. It's not too complex. It's just something that, technically isn't listed on the packaging, at least on the newer clamshell style packaging. So I thought I'd just make a quick tutorial on, how to do everything. So yeah, as you're wrapping up, all you gotta do is just do it the way you came in. Just tighten down those 3 thumb screws. Finger tight, as I usually say, no more than with your wrist, because then you might be starting to strip those threads. Eventually, I'll probably get a new set of reel handles, or a new reel handle for this reel. I mean, I like the classic emblem on here. I just want to get newer handles because it's kind of hard to crank a big fish in. So Now that your brakes are turned down, you can cast farther, and as long as your spool tension is relatively down, like just about wiggly loose, because that's how I like mine. I mean, mine might be a little bit loose right now because I have my brakes so high, but you should be relatively in tune. As long as you only need to thumb a little bit, I wouldn't say it all, but as long as you only need to thumb a little bit, you will be in good shape. I suggest you do play around with your brakes and feel what's good. I haven't tested out using only one pin yet, but I'd imagine you'd run into some issues because you might run into some vibrations inside the reel because you have one pin just spinning around. So having two or more that are counter-facing each other allows that kind of carousel of pins to equally distribute force along that internal rim. So there you go. It's a pretty simple process. You just gotta, recognize what to do. So there you go. Have fun.